every once in a while, I'll catch myself in front of the world news. And I find myself getting incredibly anxious as I hear about all that's going on in the world. So I have to ask myself, how does that serve me to be anxious like that? Did you know that I have 3 really complicated relationships in my life?
With me, myself, and I?
Close. My relationship with money, my relationship with people, and my relationship with self. And they're all connected together because when my relationship with money got out of whack, it totally had an impact on those other relationships. That, my friend, is what we call having financial sobriety.
So who are you?
I'm Matthew Grishman. Who are you?
Jim Gebhardt.
And we're a couple of financial advisors trying to have an untraditional conversation about our favorite topic, money.
Let's go. What are you grateful for today?
I seem to be grateful for my warm cup of coffee these days. It's amazing how eliminating, saying no more to so many of the little vices that I used to think were a treat, that I'm really down to like this cup of coffee is about the only treat, vice. So what I'm grateful for is my cup of coffee, but what I'm also grateful for is the treats that I have for me are different than what they used to be.
Oh.
A big, tall glass of water is now a treat for my body.
Gotcha.
I'm grateful for that little mind shift,
nice.
Right? That little shift of how I see the treats for me. I'm grateful to be breathing oxygen today, brother. What are you grateful for today?
So I took a break from social media for several weeks.
Nice.
A couple of Fridays ago was National Pizza Day, and we have been...
How did I not know about this?
Well, I texted you, but it was the day of. There wasn't anything preparatory.
When you made the... Okay, keep going. Now I know where you're at.
So you were kind of a year or so ago, and you gave us some cast iron pans to make homemade pizza.
Everybody should have cast iron.
And we've been, over the last several months in the new kitchen, we've been experimenting, and I've found a variety of reels on Instagram that are some pretty awesome recipes for homemade pizza in a cast iron pan. But I took a break from Instagram because I found it to be too much of a distraction.
Yeah.
I told the family I was doing this, and I went about 2.5 weeks until Pizza Day, where I needed a reel. And so I re-logged into Instagram on my phone, got the pizza reel, but then I didn't delete it. But what I did do, I'm proud of, and where I'm going with this is for intentional. The gratitude is how I use Instagram. I have started unfollowing and deleting and it's not reporting, but anything that isn't really relevant or it's too much of an ad or a wah, 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 wah.
Unsubscribing.
I'm unsubscribing left and right.
Right.
So what I'm getting in terms of content is much more center of the bullseye, directional. And your George Bernard Shaw quote is the stuff I'm attracted to.
From last episode.
Where you just holding out on me. Drop that one from who did you see that on a reel?
Jeff Goldblum was
Jeff
sharing
Goldblum
that.
from apartments.com.
Right. And Jurassic Park.
And that's what I like on Instagram, are these little inspirational, little teaching moments, little nuggets.
Things that fill your tank.
Thing that fill my tank.
Not suck the life out of you.
Not comparison.
Sure.
If it's comparison, it's got to go.
Right.
Delete.
If it makes you feel less than, it's got to go.
100%. Right. Because this is all in that context, as we're going to talk about on the show today, of how do you prepare yourself for the battle that we see as the stress of 2024? For me, it's my favorite Dan Sullivan strategic coach concept. Protect your confidence.
Bingo. Yep.
Thy must protect thy confidence at all times. Now, that has two edges to it because it can sometimes be unbelievably selfish, but you've got to protect your confidence.
Well, there's a reason why every aircraft in America and every flight attendant in America is going to tell you in the event of an emergency, please put your own oxygen mask on first.
Can't help anybody till you
help yourself.
Right.
So
step one.
Selfishness ultimately becomes selflessness. It's the same, it's two sides of the same coin. You can't be the change you want to become and be the leader you want to be for your people until you put the focus on becoming the very best version of yourself you can become. And that was in our last episode with 2024 in the year of stress. We promised 3 solutions. We talked about one.
We did?
We did.
Oh.
Be the change you want to be.
Oh, I thought it was gluten-free.
You keep wanting that to be.
Well, I know how much you like gluten.
I don't even know what gluten is.
I don't
but
either.
I love it.
Exactly.
It's delicious.
It is. Yummy.
Oh.
God bless John Panette.
Yeah, now I can't stop thinking about gluten, which I haven't had now in a few days. Yeah, we'll talk about that later. We're making some good change. So we want to be the change we want to see in this world.
Well, we do.
We do. Our tribe does. I would imagine if you're here, you want what we have. Fair enough?
If you're still listening after 88 episodes later.
So let's review. George Bernard Shaw said, "This is the true joy in life, being used for a purpose, recognized by yourself as a mighty one, being a force of nature instead of a feverish, selfish little clod of ailments and grievances, complaining that the world will not devote itself to making you happy. I am of the opinion that my life belongs to the whole community as long as I live, and it's my privilege to do for it what I can. I want to be thoroughly used up when I die, for the harder I work, the more I live. I rejoice in life for its own sake. Life is no brief candle to me. It's a sort of splendid torch, which I get to hold for the moment, and I want to make it burn as brightly as possible before handing it off to future generations."
I've read that quote several times now, and every time I'm attracted to something different based on kind of time and space, right? Mood.
Yeah.
I particularly love, and what would be very interesting is how long ago did Mr. George Bernard Shaw write that quote?
Somewhere in the late 1800s to early 1900s.
Okay, so it's been a minute.
It's been a minute. It's probably about 100-year-old quote.
Okay. The part that has me today is being a force of nature instead of a feverish, selfish little clod of ailments and grievances, complaining that the world will not devote itself to making me happy.
Right. That was me in 23. That's why that lands with me so much.
22, 21, 2019.
Oh, no, I didn't complain all those years. But in 23, I was a little clod of grievances.
I love the fact that that is 100-year-old
Yes.
history, and yet
my
we're repeating it. Well, but the whole context of the world will not devote itself to making me happy.
Right.
Isn't it everybody's job
To make me happy.
to make me happy?
Right.
That one got me today.
Well, that's so much of the stress in 2024. Okay, so if we're all going to be honest here for a second, right? I love
Right.
that little setup there.
Yes, sure.
If we're all going to be a little honest together here in our little tribe conversation, our little secret society here, why does all that crap in the headline scare the crap out of us? Because it's going to ruin the world's ability to make me happy. Because I'm going to lose something as a result of that. I'm going to lose my freedom.
Now you're going into what I think it's about is the perpetrator of greater scarcity.
Yes.
Greater scarcity.
Yes.
Which ultimately leads to my unhappiness.
Yes.
But the cancer is scarcity.
Yes.
Lack. Something is going to change that will make it less for me, worse for me. There's going to be less of this in the world.
And someone else is responsible for taking that away from me. Therefore, they become my enemy.
Of course,
And
because
that keeps
I'm not in
getting
control.
perpetuated.
I'm not in. Allegedly, I'm not in control of whether I choose abundance or
Right.
scarcity.
Absolutely. So this really speaks to what I think is the second solution to how we deal with the stress in the world beyond be the change that you seek.
I'm doing this. I didn't know I was doing it until you put it on the show notes.
Stick with me, kid. You got to remember when we go back to the very early episodes we recorded, and I talked about how you and I met. What I've been able to watch in you and what we do together, like that's how a lot of this started. Was I kind of watched how you were living your life, and it's never really been documented. This has been like, what's that show? Oh, now I'm losing it. True Hollywood Story, right? This has been like one big True Hollywood story of you. We just haven't been walking around with the camera and the boom mic.
Gotcha.
But I have been documenting some of this stuff that you intuitively know, and now here we are sharing it in a podcast studio.
Let it rip.
Right? And
God bless, because
for me
I'm
too.
unaware.
Well, so here's something else you may not be aware that I've learned hanging out with you. And this is the second tool that I'm going to share. Shrink your universe.
Shrink your universe.
Shrink your universe.
Okay.
How long was the evening news when you and I were kids?
An hour.
Maybe. Half hour of local, half hour of national,
Yeah.
back when Cronkite was in
Yeah.
charge.
Yeah. It was like 6 and 6:30.
The fact that we have this 24-hour news cycle, social media, megla media machine at our fingertips, this 24/7, 365 access to information all over the world
News, everything.
has made all of us part of this huge global society, which has its benefits, right? Learning about how people live halfway around the world. That's really cool stuff. But that's not what they're selling. That's not what the megla media machine that you and I have talked about here is selling. We have to spend less time. Again, suggestion. You don't have to do this. This is just a suggestion. But this is kind of one of those suggestions, like if you're going to go skydiving and you're going to put on a parachute and you're going to jump out of the plane, suggestion, pull the cord. To me, this is a life and death suggestion. If you want to deal with the stress that's in the world,
Okay.
you have to shrink the universe. You have to spend less time on Twitter, less time with World News Tonight, and more time getting out of your house and walking around your neighborhood and saying hello to your neighbors.
Well, because that lets you do the next thing.
What does it let you do?
We've always said, and we say this to our clients all the time, that the greatest way that we know of to get out of your head is to get into somebody else's heart.
Absolutely.
We have an elderly neighbor who his wife passed away about a year ago. John's not doing well at all. And his kids come over and, help him with the trash cans and stuff like that. And we had those storms, and I'm out walking the dog, and his trash cans are all blown over, and there's crapola all over the place because the garbage guys haven't come yet. They're coming the next morning. Just picked up the stuff. Just I don't need a banner. I don't need anything for it. But it's just go put your heart into somebody else's situation.
In your neighborhood,
Sure.
in your community.
Sure. That's the easiest place to start, is to start with your community,
Well, isn't it nice that,
your family, your friends, your neighbors, your coworkers.
I mean, some might argue, and the pushback that I get is that it's really important for me to know what's going on in the world. Sure, it's important for me to know what's going on in the world.
My challenge to that has been our dear friend Glenn, and one of the most powerful questions he's ever taught me. How does that serve you?
Right,
And if it doesn't serve you, why do you keep doing it?
right.
And we've had, I wouldn't say arguments, but we've had debates over how I don't breathe in a lot of that gas.
Yeah.
And I'm not as aware of the atrocities going on in some country somewhere else. And I will put up the deflector shield and say, with all due respect, I'm sorry, that does not serve me.
Your work is here.
That does not protect my confidence.
Right.
That is allowing an ounce of kryptonite in the room for me. Because if I continue to breathe in all the gas that comes from the kryptonite,
Right.
I am weakened. I am weaker. I do not feel more confident.
But Jim, isn't it your responsibility to give yourself, like George Bernard Shaw would say, to your community, and more you work.
I am. My community,
Yes.
where I can have maximum impact. This is the reason my feet hit the floor every morning, is to have maximum impact in my community.
Yeah.
And that's not selfishly just my zip code, right? We have clients, we have relationships, we have friends all over the country.
All over the world.
I wouldn't say all over the world.
We do.
Well,
Not. I mean, it's
I
not
don't know. I mean,
a couple of people.
right. But in terms of the outreach, the impact, I think of it in that context. Like, this is the universe within my control. Obviously, what we do here goes far and wide, and we have no idea the reach.
We have
no
listeners all over the
concept
world.
where this message is going. But that's where I have to put up the deflector shield on, I need to know about this going on in Sri Lanka, and this going on in China, and this going on in Colombia. And I'm sorry, I don't.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. I mean, I think this is part of what drove us to create the concentric circles exercise. Yeah, come on,
What are those?
The concentric circles exercise. This is This is a little exercise for people in the tribe who haven't been here very long. If you've been with us for a little bit, you know what we're talking about. But if you haven't been here in a while, or it's been a minute, this is an exercise that really takes the focus on your relationship with your people and creates this visual exercise for you to actually put your hands on the most important relationships in your life. And it's something I would recommend that we dust off and look at again. You can go right to our website, yourfinancialsobriety.com. If you click the resources tab on the top, we've got a whole bunch of different worksheets there. And one of the worksheets is this concentric circles exercise. And what this is going to help you do is identify the level of relationship you have with the people in your life.
It's a focusing exercise.
Yeah, it's a focusing exercise of where do I want to be investing my time, my energy, my effort, and my financial resources as far as relationships go. Right? So it's going to help you define who's the middle, who's the 2 a.m. club, who's the trusted friends and family, who are the situational friends that exist because of this situation in my life, but probably won't have much relationship once this situation is over. Because what this exercise does and what's so valuable about it is it gets you spending more time with your people and less time worrying about people you're never going to meet, places you're never going to visit, and experiences you're never likely ever going to experience.
The only little nitnoity thing I'm going to say there is it gives you the opportunity to spend more time because you're being intentional. The intentionality behind it, and you can start with your phone. Look at your favorites on your phone, and who's ever on your favorites list is going to go in that inner circle.
Yes.
Right? Maybe not the most inner circle, but they are mucho important in your life.
Yes.
When was the last time you reached out to them? I do that now. I will scroll down my favorites, and I haven't talked to so-and-so in a while, and I'll send them a text.
Yes.
Or in my little morning meditation, I think of them.
Yes.
And I think of them. I send some good mojo their way. Maybe I text them. Maybe I call them on the car ride up here, which I love my windshield time because I'm using it intentionally to talk to people.
Yes.
That is a wonderful exercise if you haven't done it in a while.
Yeah.
Particularly if you're feeling a little stuck or a little overwhelmed.
There you go.
A little, oh my God, I've got.
So when I watch the world news, when I watch evening news, 6:30 news.
Why?
Because sometimes it's on in my house. I'm not I love my people I live with, but sometimes we don't always see things the same way, right? So every once in a while, I'll catch myself in front of the world news, and I find myself getting incredibly anxious as I hear about all that's going on in the world. So I have to ask myself, how does that serve me to be anxious like that? We have a friend who lives on a beautiful ranch in the foothills here in California. Now, granted, she and her husband have gone through some significant trauma in their life. They lost their house in a big fire that we've had here in Northern California. So they've been able to relocate, rebuild their lives. They've got this beautiful property with animals and just trails and trees, and it's fabulous.
Sounds like a resort.
Oh, it is. I love going. This is one of the few house visits I love to make is going to visit them at their house. It's beautiful. One of the things that they have brought to me is the anxiety they feel on a daily basis and how disruptive that anxiety has been to them living healthy lives because of how much cable news they consume.
Has it impacted their financial decisions?
It has impacted their financial decisions. It's impacted their relationship with each other. It's impacted their own individual mental and physical well-being.
So it's working out just fine.
Oh, it's exactly. Well, now it is. Because one of the things we've suggested they do, because this is what you do in financial planning, right? This is traditional.
This is right out of the
traditional
central
financial
casting
playbook. Is I've suggested they shrink their universe. Shut the TV off, go out into your yard and hang out with your animals and look up at these beautiful trees and spend more time appreciating one another and your environment than you're spending worrying about what's happening halfway around the world. Because how is that serving you? How is that affecting you?
It sounds like it was debilitating. Yeah. So it affected their relationship.
It was ruining their lives.
Right.
I was
going to go to our three, the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, right?
Right.
It was affecting themselves.
Oh, their relationships with themselves.
It was affecting their relationships with one another.
Yes.
and it was affecting their money.
Oh, the level of fear they were living in was causing them to make financial decisions where literally they have missed out on so much upside opportunity in the stock market the last several years because they've been just paralyzed in fear.
Right.
And we're starting to unlock that now because they're shrinking their universe.
Right.
They're not putting their heads in the sand and ignoring the world around them. They're just shrinking their universe on a day-to-day basis. It's incredible. There's a third tool.
Oh, fantastic.
One more.
Okay.
One more thing we can do to deal with the stress that's happening in the world today. And you may not realize I was going to tee you up for this, but it's very simple. It's perspective.
Ah.
It's coming back to this episode and having some perspective, because when all else fails, if you struggle to be the change you want to become, if you struggle to shrink your universe, maybe coming back to this part right here and gaining some proper perspective on what's going on in the world could be the tool that gets the anchor 1 inch off the floor so that you can get in motion. We don't have to get the anchor all the way in the boat to get moving, just 1 inch. What do you know about perspective, JG?
Well, when we got started in the business,
Yes.
there's a mutual fund company that's been around since the 1930s called American Funds.
Oh, yeah.
You know anything about them?
Sure.
Did you
Good old
interview with
Capital
them?
Group.
Did you ever get an opportunity to interview with them?
I chose not to.
Okay.
Yeah.
A little too much like the firm?
A little too, and then having to live in certain places I didn't want to live.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
probably more about that because
Yeah.
it's an excellent company that's been
they're
around
wonderful.
a long time. They introduced us to the, what's it called? The Mountain Chart. And
The
this
good
was
old Investment Company of America Mountain Chart. Good
from
old ICA Mountain Chart.
1931, right?
Yeah, 31.
And it was a fold out that went like 3 or 4 wide. They would gladly provide you with a printed copy if you were willing to frame it and put it in your office.
Yes.
Because the Mountain Chart talked about this concept that they promoted heavily, which was climbing the wall of worry. And what we're facing in 2024, ladies and gentlemen, is the wall of worry. And this time people are going to say it's different.
It's always different.
This time it's different for these fill in the blank reasons.
For the metal bottle hitting the table.
For these fill in the blank reasons.
Yeah.
This is where the power of perspective, I think, is incredibly powerful. So I would
Say more.
like all of our listeners to go on this little journey with me.
Is this a close your eyes kind of moment?
This is a close your eyes, just breathe this in and reflect. Reflect for a moment if you were born in 1900. On your 14th birthday, World War I starts and ends on your 18th birthday. 22 million people perish in that war. Later in the year, you're still 18, a Spanish flu epidemic hits the planet and runs until your 20th birthday. 50 million people die in those 2 years. You heard me.
50 million.
million people died. On your 29th birthday, the Great Depression hits. Unemployment hits 25%. The world GDP drops 27%. That runs until you're 33. The country nearly collapses along with the entire world economy.
Yikes.
When you turn 39, World War II starts. You aren't even over the hill yet. And you can't even have a second to check to catch your breath because on your 41st birthday, the United States is fully pulled into World War II. Between your 39th and 45th birthday, 75 million people, including 6 million Jewish people, die in the war from the Holocaust. Smallpox was an epidemic until you were in your 40s. It killed 300 million people. That's the entire United States right now.
In your lifetime, up until that point.
Yeah.
Wow.
At 50, the Korean War starts. 5 more million people perish. From your birth until you were 55, you dealt with the fear of polio epidemic each summer. You experienced friends in the family contracting polio and being paralyzed or dying from it. We even had a president that had polio. At 55, the Vietnam War begins and doesn't end. For 20 years, 4 more million people perish in that conflict.
The Vietnam War, we forget. Wow, 20 years that war went on.
20 years.
So you're 55 years old, and that goes on for 20 more years.
During the Cold War, you lived each day. This is you now. Now you're in our neighborhood.
We're around, yeah.
You lived each day with the fear of nuclear annihilation. On your 62nd birthday, you have the Cuban Missile Crisis, a tipping point in the Cold War. Life on the planet as we know it almost ended.
What a great year to start Social Security.
When you turn 75, the Vietnam War finally ends.
Wow.
Think of everyone on the planet born in 1900. How did they endure all of that? When you were a kid in 1985, and you didn't think your 85-year-old grandparent understood how hard school was and how mean that kid in your class was, yet they survived through everything listed that I just read. I saw that post on the internet a few weeks ago. We do a little thing called a Fun Fact Friday video with clients periodically, and I got more feedback from that article on perspective than anything I've ever done.
Perspective is amazing. I understand why you got feedback for that.
And every time I read it, kind of like your George Benoit piece, I get the chills.
Yeah.
My grandmother was born in 1909. She was married in 1931 in the depths of the Great Depression. And her life, I was 15 in 1985 thinking, oh, my life is so hard. And I'm looking at my grandmother who was alive.
Sure.
Going, how can you even relate to me when, she had nothing but love on me, right? When she's like, you have no idea, son. So I just think the concept and the tool of perspective is one of the very most powerful things that we can remind ourselves of. Because we get wrapped up. We get totally wrapped up in our universe, our day-to-day, the universe isn't making me happy.
Well,
we have to be able to break out of it. And I think these tools are very powerful ways to ultimately protect your confidence. Because I know when I look at that, and I'm pointing to the fact of the little article that we just read on, 85 years of history, that history is going to come in different forms, different shapes, different fashions. But I don't even want to add up how many hundreds of millions of people died on all of those things. And we're going to have different versions of it. We've already gone through a pandemic.
Sure.
We still live with nuclear threat and worry.
Sure.
But to the point of how do you protect your confidence, I love these tools, these exercises, shrinking your universe, looking at perspective, because we can only control what we can control, right? All of that's out there that becomes very overwhelming, very stressful, climbing that wall of worry. This time it's different, Jim. You don't understand. It's different. I'd argue it's not.
Well,
the characters are different.
Sure.
The storylines are different. But I would fundamentally argue it's not.
Right. Here's where I'm going to say it's a little bit different. I'm just going to say it's a little bit different. Back when that person born in 1900 was going through all of that, there was no such thing as social media and the cable news networks. You didn't have the mega
Well, yeah, you didn't know what was going on and fill in the blank.
You knew of what was going on because you got the daily newspaper.
You went to the movie theater and you saw the
reel.
The reel.
Right? So you got it in little bits and pieces. You got the story for 10 or 15 minutes a day. You didn't get it 24/7.
365.
This is why you and I are showing up, because we have to do battle against that. That's our enemy right now. Our enemy is the information machine.
That doesn't stop.
That doesn't stop, that is constantly telling us scarcity, fear, and all of these things. And we're here to talk about how we shut these things off, take control over what we have control over, be the change that we want to be, shrink our universe, maintain a proper perspective. Boy, I think we should probably spend some more time continuing this conversation.
I think we will.
Yeah. Here's where we're going. We're going to guide our tribe here.
Oh, we're not just going to stop with this?
Oh, I think our work's just starting here for year 5 in studio. We're pivoting a little bit, right? And we've got new stuff happening in the world that we've got to deal with. And what I suggest I think we're going to do going forward is take our tribe through what we do with our private clients, kind of let them in on the secret a little bit, this this idea, this true wealth journey that we take clients through in our office, our financial planning process, because that ultimately is what's going to insulate our tribe the most from this stress that is facing us here in 2024. Just helping people get their financial house in order, helping them strengthen that relationship with their money, helping them become aware and the strongest they possibly can in their relationship with their people, and helping them look in the mirror and feel really good about that person looking back at them. Those three very, very important relationships. So where we're going from here is taking people through that true wealth journey right here on the show. We're going to teach you how to unpack your story, that first stage of our process. Then,
which is a little bit of where are you now?
Yeah. It's kind of like that inventory, right? What we've been talking about.
Where are you at?
Where you at, right? If we're going to track our progress going forward, we got to know where we're at, right? And that's what unpacking your story is all about.
Ooh, there we go. We're going to drop a pin.
Very nice.
Yeah.
And then we get to move into defining your story, right? This is where we're going to show you how to, once you get an idea of where you're at, help you clear a little bit of the clutter so you can see where you want to go, right? We call it the top of the mountain, right? Getting to that top way up high where...
What's my other favorite word for clutter?
I don't know. What is your other favorite?
Oh, come on now. It's so easy. It's so in front of you. Clarity.
Well, the opposite of clutter. Clarity gets rid of the clutter.
Sorry. Yes. The opposite.
Thank you.
The antithesis of clutter.
You didn't antonym me there.
Right.
Yeah, very good. Well, once that is defined and we have an idea of where we're going, now we need to start shaping the story. What could get in the way and keep us from getting there, right? Can we get there? Can we?
The old-fashioned AAA triptych.
Exactly.
When you would take a trip and you'd get a map from AAA that would tell you how you were going to get from A to B.
Yes.
Yeah.
Once we're clear on whether you can get there, then it's ultimately about living that story and actually figuring out, how do I do it? What are the moving parts? How do I connect these three complex relationships and actually get where I want to go and live this life I want to live?
Boy, I can't wait to see where we take this.
Oh, this could be fun. And on top of that, in between some of the teaching we're going to do, we might bring a guest or two into studio.
I think that's likely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's some pretty cool folks out there that have lived some very interesting lives, and to hear their story, to hear them get vulnerable, that's something you're not going to want to miss. So stick around. This is a pretty cool journey we're on together. Thanks for being here.
Absolutely. And with that,
that's a wrap. If you like what you heard, leave us a review and be sure to subscribe. And check out our website, yourfinancialsobriety.com. Thanks again for listening today. Here to help you find more clarity, confidence, and capability along your journey into financial sobriety. I'm Matthew Grishman.
And I'm Jim Gebhardt.
Be intentional with your money.
Jim Gebhardt is a registered representative of and securities offered through Brokers International Financial Services, LLC, member SIPC. Jim Gebhardt and Matthew Grishman are investment advisor representatives of Gebhardt Group Incorporated, a registered investment advisor. Brokers International Financial Services, LLC, and Gebhardt Group Incorporated are not affiliated. The opinions in this podcast are for informational purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or investment recommendations. To determine which investments or financial advice may be appropriate for you, consult a financial advisor prior to investing. Any reference to market performance is based on historical information, and there is no expressed or implied guarantee of future performance. Opinions expressed on this program do not necessarily reflect those of Brokers International Financial Services, LLC. The topics discussed and opinions given are not intended to address the specific needs of any listener. Gebhardt Group Incorporated does not offer legal or tax advice. Listeners are encouraged to discuss their financial needs with the appropriate professional regarding your individual circumstance.